So today, had some fun stuff arrive. Show you guys. It may have gotten delivered to Mauser Aviation, so I'm just gonna take a look and ask. I did indeed receive something. Just loading them up now. Mauser Aviation was kind enough to take these packages for me. Now I just have to load them up. Alrighty, let's get these unloaded and I'll show you guys what's inside of them. Got them all in here. Can you guess what they are? Well, if you guessed cylinders, you'd be correct. These are freshly overhauled from Gibson Aviation. Let's just take a look at one of them. Here it is. As always, heavier than I thought. Here she blows. Check that out. It's been restored to factory spec. Everything looks super good. And it smells brand new, so that's great. We have our valve covers laying around here somewhere. I have to find them so I can paint them. But they also painted them. They did a good job, I think. We'll just leave them this color and just paint the valve colors. Awesome stuff. Anyways, that's enough from that for now. Although this stuff is cool, we're going to build the engine another day. Today, we still have some wiring to do, so let's get to it. Last time we left off, I finished wiring pretty much all the CAN bus stuff. So I'm gonna try to finish the interconnect for the transponder today. And I'm also going to probably start wiring up some of the power and grounds. And if I have time, I'll try to start looking at mounting the autopilot servos, but we'll see. Let's get started. Here we are, where we last left off. You know, I know it doesn't look like it, but it's much more organized than it was before. I have a lot of stuff going all over the place, but I am going to clean it up a little bit before I close everything up. I'm going to organize everything. Pretty soon, I need to get started on wiring up the harness for the engine monitor. All of those red, all of those yellow and red things are sensors for the engine. And those are just one of a couple of sensors that I need to wire up. So I actually might start doing that today, maybe not. We'll see what I'm feeling like doing. And yeah. So before I start wiring up all the power stuff, I have this bar of copper here. I'm just gonna cut this down to size and drill some holes in it so we can use it as a bus bar, both for our avionics and our main bus. And here are our two bus bars. I know someone's in the comments is gonna complain that I use an angle grinder, but that's just the best way to do it with what I have. We're gonna sand this down a little bit, and then we're going to drill some holes in it. Fun times, let's start sanding. Got our new bus bars here, and let's measure the width between the holes here. So it seems that these holes are spaced just about 3/4 of an inch apart. So we'll just mark holes every 3/4 of an inch and drill it out. I'll measure the hole in a second, but yeah, let's just mark it out. Here's the finished results. Some of these holes are not the straightest, but honestly, this is good enough. If I need to drill out any of these holes, I can certainly do so to enlarge them. But yeah, this is good because this will let us start essentially organizing the circuit breakers that we want to put into place. And we can double check, although they're still hot, but we can make sure they line up. I'll show you guys. I also took the liberty of shaving these down so they fit perfectly now across the whole bus with room for the main thing to go here. So yeah, these should be ready to get wired up. I think we can start wiring up the circuit breakers, to be honest with you. Let's just, you know what I'm thinking is we can just start attaching them one by one to here. And from there we can sort of see what we need for each of the circuit breakers. And then we can just plop that circuit breaker assembly inside of there. So yeah, let's just start loading up circuit breakers on here and see how far we can get. There are some circuit breakers in there, I believe, that I'll probably need to take out, but yeah, that's not really a problem. Let's just get started on that. So I've actually decided I'm not going to wire up the buses today. I had to spend a little bit longer than I thought sort of analyzing some of the circuitry. And I also don't have the right size screws for these. These are 632 screws that need to be 1/4 of an inch. I really don't have those. So I had to order some. I'm going to wait for them to arrive. So I have lock washers. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna get started on wiring up the engine harness. And yeah, I'll also show you guys. I spent a little bit of time figuring out how this activation circuitry worked. It was a little bit difficult because there weren't any labels, but essentially there's 3 solenoids. Now what a solenoid does is essentially takes a high voltage input and a low voltage signal input and can essentially act as a switch, a very high powered switch. Now there's two of them. This is for battery 1 and battery 2. Now these connect directly to the battery. I was wondering what was going on because the labeling wasn't exactly clear. And I went through and I thought about it for a little while, actually a long while. And I figured out, okay, so these are actually directly wired to the battery. So these go directly to the battery, completely unswitched. And essentially what this does is this is the supply voltage for 2 breakers. So there are 2 breakers that aren't connected to the main bus. These are actually the breakers for the solenoid itself, because if the solenoid itself pulls too much voltage for the input signal, then that breaker will flip. And that is the voltage, not only the signal voltage, but it is also the voltage that is required to power the solenoid, to allow current to flow. If you stop providing voltage to that solenoid, well, current would stop flowing. So these are always powered. These are always hot, no matter what. They're always wired up directly to the battery, actually. So you want to be careful with these, but yeah, it's not hooked up right now, so we're good. So these go to a breaker. Now that breaker then goes to a switch that sits over here. Now, I don't actually have the wires to them. I don't know what happened to them. That's why I was so confused for so long, because I was missing a wire and I looked for it and I couldn't find it. But after a little bit of thinking, I realized, okay, these wires come off of the solenoids and connect to the signal. So this provides the signal to the solenoids. These connect to the master switches. Now, why is there 2? I have no idea, but there are 2 master switches, which is sort of funny because the master is only really supposed to be 1. But anyways, these connect to the switch, and the other part of the switch connects to those circuit breakers that would be right here. That's the wire we were missing, the one that connects from the circuit breakers that are always hot to the switches that go over here. This powers this solenoid, which then gives juice to this solenoid, which is used to control the avionics bus. Now this one is technically quote unquote always hot to a certain extent, and that's because this one is, I think it's called ground controlled or something like that. Essentially, this one, instead of taking in a positive signal voltage, the whole chassis of this thing is constantly energized, because this right here connects to a circuit breaker, which is connected to bus 1, which is powered by that solenoid. So this solenoid powers bus 1, this bus 1 energizes the body of this solenoid, and then this signal actually goes to a switch, which actually connects to ground. So this switch is activated by connecting to ground or not connecting to ground. Funnily enough, very interesting. I don't quite understand it fully, but from my understanding, this makes it a little bit more redundant, a little bit safer. So I see why they would do that. It protects a little bit against overvoltage, and it also means you don't have to wire a bunch of high voltage, heavier wires around. So this one is essentially the signal voltage is ground, and that's it was tripping me up for a little bit. But I'm understanding now everything that's going on. So now that we're just going to wait on parts, I'm going to start wiring up the engine harness, which is a couple of sensors. And yeah, we're just going to get started on doing that. I am honestly probably first going to undo this oil line because this is no longer needed. This is the manifold pressure line. This is, I believe, the fuel pressure line. This one is also no longer needed, but essentially, I probably need to get another adapter for this because I don't quite have an adapter that fits. I'm still waiting on it, but I can unhook this one because I have the sensors actually here laying around, but this sensor is a male end. So I don't know if that'll connect to the pipe there. I don't know if I have any spare fittings. I ordered a couple of fittings. They're on the way. The sensor can go up to 158 PSI. Also the same sensor I'm going to use for the oil, at which will connect over there. So yeah, let's just see if we can disconnect these really quickly, and then I'm going to start starting on this GEA engine harness. And probably when I come in here next, because I don't get my screws until Wednesday, I'm probably going to work on mounting the GSU 25 and the engine monitoring. So the engine monitor will go right here. The GSU 25 will go right here. So let's just go ahead and unhook some of these fittings. Okay, actually, I decided I'm going to take these and label all the CHT and EGT sensors first. So I have the wiring diagram. I'm just going to sit down and label them all. Okay, so I got all of these labeled with my handy dandy label maker. Now let's just, I guess, might as well just start on the connector for it. Since we already have them labeled, just strip them out, put the pins on them, and start wiring it up. Alrighty, after like an agonizing hour of redoing work that I already did, we finished all of the sensors for the CHT and EGT. I'm actually going to close up this connector because it's full. There's nothing left to do on this connector, so we can just close it up. Really sucks that I wasted all those pins. Yeah, this connector uses normal density pins. You can tell because it has 2 rows instead of 3. I used high density pins on all of them, so I just wasted like, I don't know, 25 different pins, which sucks, but yeah, at least we got it done now. So yeah, it really sucks that I wasted all those pins. That's like a good 20 or 30 bucks right there. But yeah, let's just close this connector up. Okay, we got it closed up. It's all ready to be connected now. There is one more connector we're gonna have to make for the GEA 24. That's gonna have stuff like fuel flow, manifold pressure, RPM, all that fun stuff. So this is the second to last connector. Here is the other connector we also have for it. This has stuff like power, CAN, all that fun stuff, but we've already finished this connector. So now there's just one more connector to go for the GEA 24, and then we'll mostly be done with connectors other than wiring all the power. And I need to still install the autopilot servos, so that is going to be done another day because I'm tired. I still have to work out, and it is raining. So yeah, let's call it a day here.